Hello, Ubershave Airsoft here. Today I'm making a video about Codsofters. Again. Now, in the background is a slideshow made by somebody named Big Navy SEAL Fan, or Big Navy Fan. All credit goes to him for making the slideshow, but I just decided to do this as a backdrop. So, I apologize for the bad audio, but whatever. Last time, I basically talked about how there are so many inaccuracies with the weaponry in Call of Duty. I'm going to talk more about, gear today. A lot of people think that, they go... Let me give you an example. There's some serious codsofting noob who just thinks backyard airsoft is the coolest thing ever, and if you're on a real airsoft team, then you have no soul. And you buy some really cheap Condor vest, and wear it with, a generic cam. I call it generic cam. It's just like the generic Walmart camo t-shirt. Wear that with a generic cam t-shirt, and maybe, jeans, and, normal sunglasses, and you call it your Navy SEAL loadout. I'm not gonna say Navy SEAL because they're not really prominent in Call of Duty, but Army Rangers. They'll call it an Army Ranger loadout. I saw this kid had a loadout. He called it an Army Ranger. It was ACU and some tan Condor chest rig, and just a shamag wrapped around his face, but not concealing his face, if you know what I'm saying. So, on the response to a comment, he said that he was trying to look like the Ranger from Call of Duty. Now, not only is this completely incorrect, it didn't even look like the Ranger from Call of Duty. Another case is when there is a complete, it's not even necessarily a codsofter, but just somebody with a cheap, clear Walmart submachine gun, like the Crossman MP5, whatever it's called. They get that, then they get a fighting load carrier, which if you don't know, it's a kind of vest used by the US military. Why would you do this? If you run a vest, okay, think of this. This gun, it doesn't use a magazine. Well, it uses a magazine, but it's the battery and everything else. You just put BBs directly in the top. Likely from a bottle that you could keep in your pocket of your skinny jeans on your amazingly elite Ranger loadout. If you buy a fighting load carrier, which is a low-profile molly vest, with no pouches on it, you're wasting money, and you're wasting a good piece of kit. It's actually a fairly decent slideshow. Another thing. The backyard airsoft is almost always somehow codsoft. Now, I can't say that every time it is, but I'd say 9 times out of 10, they call it team deathmatch. Now, not only is this not really the correct name, my team at least calls it frontal assault, but I know that's not the standard airsoft term. But if it's one-on-one, then it's not team deathmatch. The word team means more than one, like in that picture. That is a SEAL team. One person is not a team. It's not possible. One-on-one is physically not team deathmatch. Another thing. This is back on the AK-74U thing. They'll buy that Crossman one, and they'll just keep it around for such a long time. this video's over. You know what? Part 2 is what I'm going to put on now. Here we go, part 2. Sorry. I completely lost my train of thought, so I will go on to another topic. I'm going to give you a scenario. You're a Codsofter, and let's say your relative was in the army for maybe, I'm going to say like 1996 to 98, some random year. Those do not look like seals to me. But, okay, let's see. He finds out, well no, you find out that he still has some gear left over. Because you're a Codsofter, and this would really only qualify if you have one of those really crappy AGs, because if you just had a spring pistol, then you'd have, I think even a Codsofter would have enough logic to realize that you don't need a vest for a spring pistol with a single magazine. But, okay. Yep, you have an AG and like a spare magazine or two that you got off of Hobbytron because you're an asshole. And he comes up to you and somehow he was issued... No, let's not... Let me change this. I'm gonna say you're like... He was in the military for a fairly recent time period. Like 2005 or 2007. So you find out he has an Eagle Industries Maritime Cyras, which if you don't know, that is a $600 vest used by the Navy SEALs and MARSOC and the Green Berets. So he's just like, yeah man, you're my little bro. So he gives you this vest. And naturally, you're gonna think like, oh, he just gave it to me, it can't be good. Then, what happens is you go on to one of the websites. Now, hold up. I gotta show you something about this video. See that right there? What the hell is that? It's a handheld minigun. I don't know what's going on there. No, back on subject. They go on like Airsoft GI or EVIC. Now, in general, I feel that those are fairly good websites, but they promote bad gear, Condor gear. So you go on there and you're looking at these like flashy advertised Condor vests. And they're like, and you think they're so amazingly great. Because honestly, they make them look that way. They're really not, but they make them look that way. So you sell your Eagle Industries Cyras for $100 with all the pouches because you are retarded, and buy a Condor MOPC. Now, if you have any logic whatsoever, then you should know, even if you're not into airsoft, if something is used by the best Special Forces unit in the world, which is Navy Special Warfare Development Group, SEAL Team 6, whatever, then you shouldn't give it away for $100 to buy some piece of Chinese, crappy airsoft gear. People that have no idea what airsoft is should know that that's something you really just don't want to do. So they get their MOPC, and they brag how they totally got so much money for their Eagle Cyras, and somebody goes up to me, somebody like me goes up to them and says, you're a dumbass, you just sold, like, $1,000 worth of gear for $100 to buy a bad piece of gear that costs $80. So he's like, well, no, Condor's the best. It's on the website, and Eagle isn't, so Eagle sucks. there's quite a few people that actually believe this. I don't know very many because my airsoft team isn't really geared out. A lot of them will just run with BDU. But honestly, if you think that pause the video there. If you really think that some Chinese airsoft brand that's obviously like a big company making money hand over fist preying off of noobs, then you should really know that if they were so great, why would they go under the radar of the US military? One of the best ones I've heard is saying that Condor is used by the US military. But the worst one about Condor gear, I heard from an ex-Navy forward observer. Well, not forward observer, but he was like observing the foreign military in Iraq. And I was like talking to him about gear and everything. Then I see in the game, he's wearing a Condor vest. And I go up to him and said, "Why are you wearing a Condor vest?" And he's like, "Oh, Condor's mil-spec." And I was like, "No, it's not." And he was telling me about how bad mil-spec is. And he was like rear echelon Navy, so he was probably issued not exactly the best gear, but I highly doubt that anybody with that much experience, which probably isn't even that much, would think that Condor is mil-spec. Now, I'm going to end this video right now. I completely got off topic, but thank you for watching. Goodbye.